recommendation for petition was to reinstate the student to Roseman High School and on behavioral contract.
Motion? Gutierrez?
Yeah.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-1 absent.
3. Okay, reject student ID number 8590, claim filed April 3rd, 2018.
I'll make a motion that we reject that claim.
Second by?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
He was not here.
Okay, 1 absent. And I have a 10.
So, 26.
A recording of this meeting is being made and shall be kept for 30 days as public record. Pledge of Allegiance led by, let's do this Weinberg. Approve agenda. Motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the, I guess it would be the new agenda.
Revised, okay.
Sally, would it be the page 2 written revised agenda?
Yeah, but it was posted on.
Yeah, it was already posted,
Okay,
so.
I just want to make sure.
Second by
I'll second.
Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Invalidate action taken on June 13th, 2018 for action items number 322, number 323, and number 324. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion. And I'd like to apologize for the inconvenience that we made a mistake on the legality of how we went about the appointment.
Second by
I'll second.
Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
And so now we'll start the interview applications for provisional appointment. Do I have any call for public comment? Anybody? Roll call.
Corky, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, just trying to get the volume. Go ahead, say hello again.
Hello.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, okay, we have a,
We do have a public comment.
yeah, we do have a public comment by Tori Francina.
Hi.
Oh, okay.
That'd be the first one, but okay. My name's Tori Fromina. I've been a member of Roseland for 15 years, myself, my husband, and my kids. We just wanted to make comments about the community's full support of David Gregg. I know we're not supposed to mention names, but we have to mention names of one of the appointees is interim trustee of the board. We feel he will do an excellent job managing the best interests of the children of all of our schools. I've personally known Mr. Gregg since our kids were in kindergarten and now they are entering high school. He has been very active in youth sports, growing our community and giving our kids opportunities that they haven't had before. He also knows the school district's policies well. We as a community need a trustee like David Gregg, and we just want to express our interest, and we don't know how it happened that he's no longer appointed, if that's the case, but we feel that the board did the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So we can start with asking the applicants. We need some chairs up at the front. Or actually, you know what? At the podium. So we can ask some questions. Bob?
Sure. Why not?
Why don't we get
All three of us?
Rick over there? And Mr. Wood?
Yeah. You know Corky's not speaker.
Hey, yeah. Hey, Corky.
How you doing, Mario?
Good.
Got your,
And
he's making a comment.
oh, sorry. You need to seal yours.
I will not myself on that.
Are we going to start?
Yes.
Are you ready, Mr.
Yeah,
Vancillo?
just a second. I'm looking at something I wanted to bring up. I think that gives a little bit my philosophy. It says it's preparing future generations. This is actually was on LinkedIn the other day. It was from Stacy L. Smith. It says our job is to give students a worldview that enables them to handle and confront the challenges facing humanity, inequality, safety issues of hiring, who is in the C-suite, who is in the management ranks. What basically that comes down to is that it's our job as school board members. It's one of the reasons why I decided to come back and say, and come back to the board. As you were aware, I was on the board from 2001 to 2005. And we had pretty good 4 years during that tenure. We did a lot of good. We saved the district, as Mario remembers, a lot of money. We actually were able to get away from oversight from the county fairly quickly because of our postures and how we managed, our finances and as well as, the district. So my background is that I do have a master's in education. I did teach at a junior college for a little while, and then I went to work for Uncle Sam as an education specialist. My job was I was a program manager for today's value is probably about $50 million. Army audio, it was through audiovisual means, but we actually put out, they call it training extension courses, which with the soldiers went in, got their MOS training. We used the material that we just developed and validated to further their training. And we know it worked because, as I mentioned, we validated. Run my own business for a while. I used to work in real estate. Now I get to have a little fun and work with Princess Cruises. Is helping with booking and helping clients and they call in. But my real, as I said, my background is I served on the board. I have the educational background. I understand education and I understand finances and I understand what it's going to take to move the district forward. Any questions?
Yes. My first question is, what do you believe is the role of the mission of the district?
The role and mission of the district is to educate our students that they're well prepared for the future. What I mean by future is that when they leave our district, they should be able to be self-sufficient, either go to college, go to trade schools, or whatever path they choose, they should be successful. That's our job, is to manage the district so we guide them that way.
How do you define student success?
How do I find students' success? Well, one thing I do know is that and I'm probably one of those that didn't really succeed when I was in high school. But I went out and when I left high school, I went in the military. I had a counselor, which I disagreed with, and told him so, that I would not go to college. Please, go to the Air Force or go to the military and get a trade. Well, I fooled him. I actually got out, went in and got 3 degrees, an AA, DA, and my master's in education. So, dealing with student success does not mean a child, one of our students will be successful in high school. It's how we and the counselors work with them. And please don't tell them they're not going to go do something, because some of us actually can go out and prove them wrong. And most of the kids and most of the students do. So success to me is that when and I've got, my 2 younger guys. I've got one that's working on his college degree. He's going to Korea next week for a year, and his main goal is to finish his education. He wants to get that college degree so he can then maybe move into the officers' force. Success is defined by many, many different ways.
Can you answer the same question? You want to repeat it?
According to the question, Been prepared to state what I'd like to give to the board. I apologize for not being here at your last meeting. I was on a long planned vacation. I was out of town. But good evening. My name is Greg Wood, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be considered for the vacant seat on your board. I also want to commend this board for your hard work and dedication to the education and development of the community. When I filled out my application, the one question asked was, why do I want to serve on this board? Even though I gave a lengthy explanation in my letter to you, my reasons are simple. I am dedicated to this community and want to help whenever and wherever I can, and to offer my experience and skills to be of any use where I am serving. When I attended your meeting on 5/23, and after hearing your interim budget report and the recommendations set forth by your budget director, I decided to put my name in for consideration because I feel that I have the experience and background to be of help to this board as you face the tough decisions in the coming months. I believe that even though some layoffs might be inevitable, I do not feel they should be a first response, but rather a last resort. I also feel negotiating away your water rights and selling of property and other assets is unwise. I feel that almost all of your savings can be accomplished through looking at current business practices and making changes. I spent 37 years working in water reclamation and spent the last 10 years managing the maintenance department for the Antelope Valley, where I was in charge of 2 water reclamation plants, sewers, 2 storage facilities, fleet maintenance, warehousing, Paiute ponds, wetlands, and 2 large agricultural sites. In 2008, we had a meeting with our general manager that we were depleting our reserves at a rapid rate and we needed to find ways to cut back and save money without sacrificing quality or safety. Failure to do so would result in layoffs. From 2008 to 2016, when I retired, I completely retooled every aspect of my department and had to look at new ways of doing business. I had to look at asset management, PM programs, procedures, planning and scheduling, predictive and preventative maintenance, training, building bills and materials, purchasing habits, etc. And I'm proud to say that we managed to drastically reduce our budget and expenses without having to lay off a single employee. I also have the background and experience in water and government from serving on the RCSD Board of Directors for 15 years. And also being involved in the water adjudication lawsuit from beginning to end, there are many ways to reduce your water bills. And it can be done without giving up your water rights or impacting the students in a negative way. Does this mean that your current business practices are wrong? Absolutely not. I firmly believe that by looking at everything with a fresh set of eyes and looking for ways to improve your current business practices in the areas of custodial, building maintenance, groundskeeping, fleet operations, fleet maintenance, to name a few, and making the necessary changes in current business practices, that we can achieve the same results of reducing costs and expenses and at the same time preserve as many jobs as possible. And with these changes, you will implement a business model that will serve this district for years to come and will continue to keep costs down now and in the future. Again, thank you for this opportunity, and I'm fortunate enough to earn your trust by appointing me to this seat. I will work tirelessly with all of you to continue to make this district the best in the state. Thank you. And can you repeat the question again, please?
The first question was, what do you believe is the role of the mission of the district?
The role of the mission of the district is to provide a first-grade education to all of the children in this community and prepare them from kindergarten through high school, prepare them for life, prepare them to go out on their own and to be a success and to secure jobs and provide for themselves for their lifetime.
Thank you.
Okay, how do you define student success?
I would define a student success as when they leave here, that not only do they have the education, but they also have the confidence to go out into the world and not have any fears about taking on new challenges and being able to face the world head on and make the best life that they can. I think that is the ultimate success that you can ask for any student leaving here.
Corky?
Courtney?
Yes.
The first question is, what do you believe is the role of the mission of the district?
Would you like to make a statement first, Corky?
Sure. My name is Corky Robinson, and I worked for the district for right at 20 years. I was involved in the union, chief negotiator for the worst concession negotiations ever, and we seem to get through it and come out of it still friends. And the reason I want to work, been on the board is I love the district. It was the best times of my life being there. The reason I left is I got hurt there and it just didn't feel the same working. But I know the districts get in tough times, and the reason they get in tough times is because sometimes they have a vision, and districts have a hard time making the money to keep up with the vision. You know, so I think I can really help on that part right there. I've been around a long time doing it, back from Christine to Larry Phelps to Rod to all of them, and I've had a great working relationship with both unions, with Leanne's there. I mean, she can attest. I've worked with her over the years. You know, in a school district, we need to have a good positive attitude, and that's a big, important part of the board members to, you know, we work together as a team for many years, you know, 20 years, some of us 25 together. It's important how we feel about one another, what we're saying about one another. We need to bring some of that for sure. And I'm sorry, Yolanda, back to that first question.
Back to the first question is, what do you believe is the role and mission of the district?
The role and mission of the district, I think it's changed a little bit since I started there in '96. I think the role is to keep our kids safe now and educate them and get them out and ready for the world. It's the whole experience as being worked there for 20 years, from the custodian to the teacher to the maintenance guy to the cook. That's the whole, it's our role as employees there to make it good for the kids and to like going to school and to be friendly. You know, I worked at that district a long time and would say to people, it's sad that they like me better than the teacher. I'm just trying to say it's all of our jobs as a district to make those kids comfortable, and when we go out in the world, see them, they feel comfortable coming up and talking to you. You know, I go to Vallarta, and the girl that was the senior president when I was there in, I don't know, 2006 or something, she's the general manager there, and she comes and talks to me, and, you know, that's nice. I see them all over. And if we make that nice for those kids, they're going to go out in this world and be successful. It's all of our duty to do that. And I just want to say this, that I've really put on there because I know that I can help. I understand what the district's going through. I've been there before. These are my friends, you know, people that I respect. There will be some tough times. I have no problem making hard decisions. I've made 1 million of them at the district, you know, 1 million. And I'm ready for that.
Thank you, Corky.
You're welcome.
Okay, Corky, it's Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi. How do you define student success?
How do I define student success?
Yes.
Student success would be, I believe, you know, I think part of it would be in my mind that you need to get that high school diploma. But out in the world, success, you know, a lot of people put success on the paycheck. When you come out of Rosamond High School, if you feel like you're a successful person and that you can make it in anything, whether that be a housewife, you know, a bank manager, a doctor, whatever it is, that's success. You go to a university, not go to university, you know, do any of that. And back when I went to high school, when I left high school, you know, when I got my own pack, I did good on my grades. I chose to go in a different path. My mom was sick about it, but I was successful. Kids need to feel like that again. When they leave, you don't have to go to that four-year university. Just know that when you leave Rosamond High School, they prepared me to do whatever it is. You know, I'm ready. that's what I think success is.
Thank you.
Mr. Gregg?
Good afternoon. My name is David Gregg, and I apologize for bringing in everybody to support me today, but I just felt that I thought that they should be here so that they could see how important this is to me to be on this board with you. As you know from last week, I am a former RHS teacher, also former RHS and TMS high school and middle school basketball coach, football coach, and track coach. I'm also currently on the ROSC board for our local youth club and have had an extensive background in energy and web development. So I think that my experience for this board will help prove out over the next 6 months as the interim trustee, because all of the experience that I've had has had to deal with negotiations with unions, negotiations with local governments, both at the municipal and at the state level. I've also had quite a bit of experience as executive managing corporate environment, and I think that that's probably one of the biggest things that is going to help get this school district going in the right direction, is being able to have all of our actors as part of this school district push in the right direction, whether it's the RTA or the CSEA or the district itself, and even on the board itself. The board definitely has to take the leadership here and set the right tone for all three of those actors to make the education of our children the most important thing.
First question is, what do you believe is the role and mission of the district?
I believe it's to obviously educate the children in the best possible way, but in order to do that, we have to be willing to give whatever the RTA needs to make those educational plans and those educational policies help the children in what it is that they're trying to achieve. And beyond that, the CSEA, they obviously need all the tools and the equipment and the funds to be supportive of our teachers in our district, to make sure that the quality of education that they're seeing in the classroom doesn't get infringed in any manner. And then lastly, the administration itself, they have to create the environment for both of those unions to be able to perform their job adequately and above average, actually. It shouldn't just be acceptable to us to say that we're fine with average education. We want to see an above average education.
Thank you.
How do you define student success?
As I defined it last week, it's the matriculation into the real world, into a four-year university, into a two-year college, into a trade school, or into a government service job where they can provide public service just like we are here today. But I think that our focus shouldn't be on that, because every school is focused on doing that. We need to make sure that that quality of education that we're providing for them allows them to compete in each of those areas. Whatever area they choose, they have to be able to compete at. Can't be good enough just to have a degree to get to the next step. We need to be able to have them separate themselves from everybody else and to be the top choice as opposed to the bottom.
What do you hope to achieve while you're on the board?
Well, obviously, I think that the problems we've had as a district has been non-disclosure. There's a lot of questions that are flying around, whether it's the community at large, the CSEA, the RTA, who's going to be fired or laid off because they don't know what happened to the money, or because they don't know what the hang-up has been. A lot of goodwill goes by just disclosing to them where we're at and what we think our plan is to get out of this. So I think the first step would be to obviously just allow the community to understand where we're at and how we plan to get out of it. And then once we do that, to work together with all the actors, as I said before, whether it's RTA, CSEA. Corky mentioned they had really negative negotiations some time back. Well, they might have to go through another negotiation, but this time it shouldn't be a negative. It should be a positive one, where everybody's understanding why we're constrained and what we need to do together in order to make the right choices for our children going forward.
Bob,
Yes.
what do you want to achieve while you're on the board?
What would I would like to achieve on the board? I'd like to be able to improve our education process as best as we can. What we have, I understand about the fence money. We know that a certain amount of money out there we can't touch because it's for salaries, it's for transportation, it's for that. So we have a meager amount of funds that, you know, we have to manage very, very well. And when I was out at Edwards, I came into a very bad situation where I had to turn around the audiovisual center out there. People were running into town. They were doing everything, you know, to subvert what we were doing. I had to go back and earn that business. As far as we are doing we got to earn the trust of the community. There's too many rumors that fly around. You see them all the time. People, we really need to get out there and let them know, hey, those rumors are false. We may not be able to tell them why, but we need to let them know that, hey, we've had, you know, issues. I bring to that, to the board. You got to remember, I've worked with students for quite a while. I work with all your student athletes, with football, whatever. But I'm bringing with me that education and training background that I've had over the years. And with that, that's where I would be an important asset, along with the financial, because we mentioned before, our financial area, we always got to keep an eye on that, like we did back in the early 2000. If we hadn't done that, county would have been all over us. So you have to really look at how we are going to manage the district and the funds that we have, and hopefully figure out how to get more funds. That was one of my one of the major issues, not issues, but one of the major things that I would do out there. I'd have programs walk in and say, Bob, I got $1 million. You can get rid of it in 2 weeks. You better believe it. But I also had the most modern, I know, but I had the most modern audiovisual center in the Air Force because of that. But again, I could go out and seek those funds. And that's the whole idea. And there's money out there, we just gotta go find it.
Greg?
What I'd like to accomplish on the board, first off, in my opening statement, a lot of those things aren't going to happen overnight. It's going to take time to make the changes to get the savings. But I think the first thing to do is that the board, being on the board, we have to sit down and figure out where we're at, come up with a plan on how we're going to tackle this, and then meet with the teachers, the RTA, the CSEA, and everybody involved, and get everybody working together on the same page. Everybody have the same goal. And it's for the good of the students, the good of the district, and the good for everybody involved. And if we can accomplish that during my time on the board, I would call that a successful tenure.
Corky?
Yes.
Same question.
Repeat your question, please, Mario.
What do you hope to achieve while you're on the board?
Well, when I was on the board, I would like to just, bring us back to stability, and just to get some respect and go out there, where people understand what we're doing, and like I did hear some of the other comments, jump in right away. The money in the school district, as everyone knows, is in the labor. So you go and you roll up your sleeves and you get with Jim and Keith, and you sit down and start talking about it. I did it in 2008. We cut $2.6 million. I think you were there, and we did it without laying off a person. Some of it was through attrition, and it was some hard times. But we're going to have to do that again, it sounds like. And so when we do that, we're going to have to keep some positive attitude, and I'd like to bring that to the board. Bad times come and go at the school district, and we, need to get through it. I feel I bring lots of experience. I worked with the guys at the county, from Jose Cantu, Bud Burrows, and some of the other gentlemen there the last time we went through this, and we came up with some answers, pretty quick, because I know the people. I'm pretty pragmatic. I'm very real with them that, we're in some hard times. And, but what I would bring to the board was I would bring a lot of the experience. What I would like to accomplish there is just, have a nice, stable board that everybody respected in town. It's a small town first, I think still. Good.
Yeah, thank you. What would you do if a employee came to you with a complaint?
If they came to me, that's really not my, I would listen because I'm a school board member, and then I would say, I worked there a long time. I think if you got a complaint, there's a perfect chain of command. I know the people that are in charge of those chains of command. So you start there, depending on the complaint, you can go to anywhere from job steward to, CTA, CSCA. But I'm not that guy, other than to tell them where to go.
Thank you. Great. Same thing.
I had an employee come to me with a complaint. Everyone knows that the board members are not supposed to get involved in personnel issues. And like the gentleman said, there's a chain of command, and you need to direct that employee to go through the chain of command. Go to their supervisor, go to the assistant superintendent, go to the superintendent, but they need to go through the chain of command, because you have to stay neutral as a board member, because that very complaint might come before you in a closed session item as a board member, and you have to be able to stay objective and stay neutral.
Thank you. David?
Following normal procedure, yes. Advise them of what the proper way to file a complaint with their immediate supervisor or the superintendent himself or herself, and lacking any response, then there's a uniform complaint process that they can appeal directly to the board. Allow them to at least have that knowledge as well, because sometimes people don't feel as though their complaints are being addressed, whether it's their direct supervisor or the administration itself. And so if it's not going to be addressed, then we want to make sure that everyone working here has the understanding that the school board is here to help them. We're not here just to pawn off or delegate duties and say we're done.
Okay. Bob?
Working for the military and being in it for many, many years, the chain of command is there for a reason. That reason is to help resolve the issues. There's an escalation. It's great that they may come to me, and you know that because they've done it to us when we were on the board together, but there's the person right there that should at least be aware of what the complaint is and then back out. You don't have anything to do because it's not your job. So the bottom line is that I would want to make sure that the superintendent is aware of that somebody came to me. I may not give them a name, but it will be told, you need to follow your chain of command. If you can't, here it is, and get up to that chain. And that's the only way you can really run a business or any kind.
Mr. Wood, what experience do you have that qualified you for the job of a board? Experiences.
My experience as a board member is 15 years on the RCSD Board of Directors, serving as several terms as board president. I'm currently serving as board chairman for the Rosemead Municipal Advisory Council Board of Directors. So I bring a lot of experience, board experience. I am board certified. I attended many classes on governance, finance, administration. I know the laws. I know the Brown Act back and forth. I understand closed session. I understand confidentiality. And I understand the role of the board and what lines they can cross and what lines they can't cross. And it's very important that the board stays as a functioning impartial body so that they can resolve issues that come before them.
Thank you. Mr. Minslett?
The reason why I want to be on the board is get back on the board is because they help with what we are facing in the future. I do have board experience. I've got four years on the board. I do have financial background. I also have a technical background, and we've talked to a lot of folks. Corky was one, and a few others about way back when about using the instructional technology, which is my major emphasis in my education and work. So just because I ran an audiovisual center doesn't mean that we weren't involved with all the educational sites like distant learning, the learning centers that we have out there. I was part of and using that. The other area where I think is that I also have a very good background in security. I served on the base security committee, and with a lot of issues that we had, one of them I always mention is that we put K-rails around a building. Well, the K-rails told us there's something important in that building, but when you only put it around half the building, you know, those are kind of issues that you really want to get. Or you have some safety, some safety concerns coming down. I don't want to get into some of them here, but I did bring them up at previous board. In fact, even Otis turned around and says, "Oh yeah," I think it was before you were on the board, about some of the security issues because of where our schools are located. So that's another major issue that we really need to have somebody that understands security. One of the things that when Rod was on, and Mario, you remember this, I always turned around and told him, don't allow the playground supervisors to stand in one place. You should be more appreciative of that. They have to move around. You move them around every week because you don't want somebody studying what their moves are and so forth. So that was always, I always kept emphasizing that for safety. There was reasons for that.
Mr. Gregg, what experiences do you have that qualify you for the job of board?
Currently, I sit on the Rosemead Sports Club board. I've helped their executive committee bring the organization back into both regulatory and tax compliance. It's quite some time since they had done that, and that was roughly a 6-month job. We're currently working on continuing that, filling out the board requirements and responsibilities to more professionally grow the organization itself. In addition to RYSC, I sit as the chair for the men's and women's Masters of Open Sports Committee for the USA Track and Field Central California section. Company owner, I was responsible for reporting to my board of 5, and where I had to deliver annual and quarterly statements to them and inform them on what the health of the organization was and make sure that we were ready to report to our shareholders. We would then have to get up and make shareholder meetings happen every quarter, and on an annual basis I would have to deliver the annual statement to the shareholders.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
What experiences do you have that qualify you for the job of a board member?
Well, I walked around those school campuses for 20 years. I worked with board members hand in hand through being a union president for the last 10 years, and before that I was, job steward to all aspects, and I've worked with board members personally. Just being in that district, I really know what this district needs right now, and I want to help so bad I can taste it. My experience is it's my passion. I want to do this. And I have been there, like I said. I've worked with every superintendent for the last 20 years. We've had a great relationship. I mean, those are open calls to make and see. I worked with Mr. Cuomo. I think he's been the only president there for a while. Anyway, I worked with the CTA president. And, I'm just ready for this. I really know what this district needs. I bring tons of experience, and I know what the kids need. We need, I hear, I'm in and out on some of the comments that the other gentlemen are making. I know what a school needs, and the school needs positive attitude. I've walked around those campuses for 20 years. I know what Southern Kern Unified School District needs to get us out of the hole, to get us back and irrespectable. It's a great district. We can be great, no problem. This isn't the end of the world. But I'm ready for this task. It's unfortunate some things came up I just couldn't get out of, but I am ready to rock. When the school starts, I'm ready. I can take us right up the ladder where we need to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one more question for everybody. How much time are you willing to give to the job that needs to be done related to being a trustee outside of the scheduled board meetings? Corky?
I'm willing to give as much time as it takes. I've heard some people say as much as 40 hours a week. That's ridiculous. We're doing something wrong. You know, if I'm a guy that's spending 40 hours a week as a trustee, the superintendent's surely hating me. But, you know, I just don't think, I just think we need to make good, solid decisions. That's what we need to do. I'm not sure time is the part, you know, the factor in there. But that being said, I'm retired and I can spend tons of time. Tons and tons of time. I'm not sure it calls for all that. Just no snap decisions and make good, lock, solid decisions. And that's where I feel my experience comes in. You know, over the years, Sandy, and I've worked with you. You and I both have watched the district make bad decisions sometimes. Don't do that. And you know, you can spend 90 hours a week, but if you're $4 million in debt, what good did that do you? You know, I'm not sure all that time did any good. You just do the right things. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Well, I enjoy working with Corky and coaching his grandson. But I'm going to have to disagree with him just a bit. I think 40 hours a week is not asking too much at all. In fact, especially on a turnaround such as this is, it may take more than that. And it's whatever it takes to get the job done. If we can manage to drive the board in the right, or drive the district in the right direction, where we are only having to invest 4 hours a week, then fantastic. But otherwise, when it comes down to it, you want to be able to know that your board is going to be there and they're going to do whatever it takes to make this cooperative.
Mr. Wood?
Real simple, I'm retired. I will be here as much as I needed to be here, but I also understand the task at hand, and it's going to require an enormous amount of time and hours to look for ways to turn things around. And I am committed and willing to put in as many hours as necessary. And if it's 40 hours a week, if it's 60 hours a week. When I was on the RCSD board, I was constantly at the office in working hours, after hours, weekends, whatever I had to do. I was working at home on my computer, getting things researched. But my commitment to this board will be here to be here as often and as much as you need me to be here.
Yes. Previously, we did have to spend a lot of time because of the issues that we inherited. And Mario, I think, remembers a lot of that. We did. No problem with committing to take care, whatever it takes to take care of business. Whether it's 40 hours, like Greg says, 60 hours, sometimes it's been even longer. But a lot of it comes down to is that we have to right the district, we have to get it going in the right direction. If we don't want to spend the time, then we shouldn't be on the board. I'm going to give that time, and I'm going to give it willingly.
Any more questions? So, discussion and possible action to make a provisional appointment to fill a vacancy on the Board of Trustees. So, can I hear a motion?
I don't know, I heard a lot of good answers. And I do have to agree with Corky on it's not going to take 40 hours a week. If it does, we're doing something wrong. Or somebody's not doing their job. There's no reason to spend that kind of time. Yes, there's a lot of time that you're going to spend reading big packets of stuff that give it to us. Again, if you're spending 40 hours a week, you're not doing your job. But we do have to do a lot of research, which sometimes I spend my nights trying to figure out answers. I've worked with Corky before on some tough issues that we had quite a few times. And Jim also was working with us when we really had some bad times. And we were able to get through it. Bob worked with me on the very first school board term I was on, and we had to make some pretty tough decisions at that time. And I think we worked pretty well together. So there's good candidates. Last week we did David Gregg and David, I'm sorry. Kind of up in the air on some of these. If somebody wishes to nominate someone, I would definitely like to hear.
I would just have to disagree with the 40 hours. You said if we're doing that, we're doing something wrong. Obviously, we are. We're in a very negative position. We were in an extremely positive position, so I would just have to disagree on that comment. Wish we had 4 spots. I think everyone can contribute and help, but if you were to ask me, I'd like to motion for David Gregg.
Same.
Being the old secretary that I am, keeping notes and kind of tallying things up, there was a lot of good answers. There was some that were, everybody gave the proper answer or the correct answer or whatever for the question, because most of it was common sense. And so when I kind of added up my score, so to speak, yeah, David came out on top on that too. So I would say David.
I also agree with all the candidates that we had. They all bring a special gift to the board. It's really hard to decide. However, we are having 3 seats available in November, and so pretty much can almost accept each one of them. So I got to go with David as well.
Okay, did he make a motion?
Yeah, there's a motion.
Motion. David.
First and a second for David.
The first and a second for David. Sam, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just a personal opinion, I don't like this part. It's hard. It's hard.
That would be the.
Corky, do you want to stay on the line?
No, I think I'm good. Did you guys, you nominated David Gregg?
Yeah.
Yes.
Before you leave, I would like to make a statement that I hope that all those who are put their hat in the ring for this seat would run in the next election, because there will be 3 seats available. One, the seat that you are taking, and mine in Sandy's is coming up for re-election. So there's 3 spots available. Whether Sandy runs again or not, I don't know. I will probably run. I've been in it for 17 years, and I don't want to leave the district in a pinch. I'd rather stay and fight it out until they throw me out. So, with that, Corky, I wish you the best.
Think about that now, certainly. I would probably run on a little different agenda than I would have been appointed on.
Correct.
I'll certainly ponder that, you know, and think about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Corky.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
now we may go to
Minister, the oath of
office.
office to the provisional appointee? No.
What?
The motion.
Right here in front so you can get jumped.
He's already had me on camera.
I don't want to be in that.
All right, so you'll just repeat after me.
Raising.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I
I,
state your name.
David Gregg,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and to the Constitution of the State of California,
and to the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Short reading.
Short reading? Okay. Give me 2 seconds. If I may.
Yes.
I would like to thank everybody for coming here to support me, but most of all, I would like to thank both Greg Woods, and unfortunately Corky's off the phone, and also Bob Vincelette for coming out and letting everybody know what the community needs. Obviously, the board had a very difficult time distinguishing between the 4 of us, because we all know that this is the direction that needs to go, and I would definitely second their recommendation for you to run for office this next election. If anything, it helps keep them honest. I think that's why I'm here as well, because we obviously needed it with the direction that the district went this last cycle. So thank you very much.
Board member communication.
Good evening. Mr. Corky said they want people to stay positive, and I sit up here and I smile usually, and it's just I can't stay positive anymore. I don't think it's good for the school board. I can't stand behind some of these decisions the district has made in terms of student safety, teacher safety. It is what it is. I mean, we're bowing down to people. We act like we have no backbone sometimes. So unfortunately, it's a good night for David. I think this is it for me. I won't run again, but my family comes first. So consider this my resignation. I didn't think about it, and then tonight just tipped it. So I'll have you a letter soon. That's all I got.
Okay, wow. I want to thank everybody for coming. And I want to thank the candidates for helping us out. And looks like we may be calling you guys again in a couple of weeks.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to reject his resignation on further discussion.
I totally agree. And since we don't have any writing, we don't have a resignation.
Okay. So pending a formal resignation.
Correct.
Thank you all for coming, and kind of glad that this part of it's over, but you know, it just never does sometimes end. And you know, we really are here to try and do the best we can. We do want to listen to the community and get input, and we just want to thank everybody for coming tonight.
Thank you for coming. What just happened was an absolute total surprise. Welcome, David.
So do we have an RTA report?
Sure.
Let's go with that, okay?
Since our audience is leaving.
Okay.
We were waiting for that. Do I know how to clear a room? Only reason the students don't leave is because they can't. Well, I do want to congratulate Mr. Reeder and all of the applicants. Mr. Gregg.
Mr. Reeder.
Well, no, Mr. Reeder for his work on the board. And all of the applicants who were here tonight expressing their desire to work tirelessly for our students. And so, yeah, I want to congratulate Mr. Reeder. I will congratulate Mr. Gregg in a moment, but all of our applicants for doing such a good job tonight. Every candidate expressed values that can be a benefit to our district and to the students, and I know that's what they really want to do. I want to welcome David to the board. I'm always available to all of the board members to give whatever insights and input that you would like to have from me as an experienced teacher in the district, and mostly represent the opinions of the teachers in our district. I will definitely let you know when I'm speaking for myself and when I'm speaking for the teachers. I try to make sure that I separate both of those items. But I want to congratulate all of the people that were here tonight looking to serve our students. They all did a great job. As Mr. Robinson pointed out over the phone, that RTA and CSEA have been down this road before. It sounds like it's the end of the world in here, and Corky said we've got to stay positive. It's not. We are making a mountain out of a molehill. Yes, we've got financial problems, staring us in the face. And if we did nothing, those financial problems would be gone in 2 or 3 years. But we will do some things to improve that situation. RTA and CSEA will work with the administration, and we'll work with the board to make sure that we do whatever we can to help improve whatever needs to be improved in the short term, but then solidify things in the long term so that we don't keep going down this road. But that's how education is. Funding in education will always do this. It's going to ebb and it's going to flow. We're going to have money in good times. We're going to face financial problems in more difficult times. And we just deal with it. It's not the end of the world. So like I said, we have major budgetary issues to address, and we'll take care of those. But those major issues can be addressed with some minor adjustments. As you know, board, RTA has submitted a list of 10 different points that we recommend to the district to look at, to consider to turn this budget around in the short term, but also to get us towards that positive certification a little bit faster than if we just sat on our hands and did nothing. But like I said, we're on track for things to improve sometime in the near future. We just want to make sure we get the train on track as fast as possible, and we get there sooner than we might. In the last 25 years, as I've been involved with RTA and been RTA president for most of that time, we've had a very simple philosophy that we want to work cooperatively and collaboratively with the district administration and with the board to find solutions. Because if we find solutions for district problems, those solutions are going to help the district become successful. And if the district is successful, then the teachers will be successful in the classroom. And if the teachers are successful in the classroom, the students will be successful. So it's not necessarily a trickle-down effect, but as long as we continue to work together, we will make sure that we achieve those things. The one question that the board kept asking is, what is exactly the role of the board? And I think it's important to note that the board's job is to oversee what is going on in the district. We have an outstanding district administration. It is their job to bring to the board the direction that they want the district to go, and for the board to then oversee what that direction is, making sure that we are making sound financial and educational decisions. So while I want the board to be involved, and as I said before, I'm always available to the board to give my input and to answer any questions that you have, and try to give the direction that I see can help the district improve. Keep in mind what the role of the board is. The board's role is to oversee and not to administer. It is the district administration whose job it is to drive the district with the collaborative relationship with RTA and CSEA, and then to make recommendations to the board. And the board can approve or not approve those recommendations. We want you involved, but it's up to the district administration to come up with the direction for what we do in the classroom. And so I'm going to look forward to continuing to work with the administration to do that, and then to turn that over to the board for decision. So I'm always available. Thanks very much.
Thank you. We have a CSEA report. Okay. So, comments from the public? No. Consent items N through A.
Right, I'll make a motion that we accept the items except for D.
Motion by Gutierrez. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
On this?
I wasn't part of any of the discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public hearing on proposed LCAP. Mrs. Hargus and Mr. Wexler.
Director of Technology and Instructional Support. I'd like to talk to you about the LCAP plan. We're going to, this is a public hearing on the LCAP plan, but the goal is to present information to you and get your feedback as part of the process of developing the LCAP plan and getting it approved. So LCAP, Local Control and Accountability Plan. Basically, it's the educational plan for the district. The plan consists of a review of last year's plan and then the plan for the upcoming school year, 2018-2019. It also contains financial information about how the district spent its money. And part of the process of the LCAP plan is stakeholder involvement, community engagement, and that's part of what we're doing here tonight, is to keep the community informed and get feedback from the community. So the LCAP plan addresses the 8 state priorities for education. Those consist of basic services, implementation of state standards, access to courses, parent engagement, pupil engagement, school climate, pupil achievement, and other pupil outcomes. So what I'm going to do is review the LCAP from this year, so last year's LCAP, which is the blueprint for this past school year for 2017-2018. So then I'm going to turn it over to Leanne, who's going to discuss the LCAP for next year for 2018-2019. So there were 7, so the LCAP consists of goals. Last year's LCAP consisted of 7 goals. And for each goal, there are measurable outcomes, how you measure your attainment of the goal, and there are actions. So we'll talk about the 7 goals and the actions and the outcomes for those goals. So the first goal is modification of facilities, staffing, and technology, which will limit access, document activities, and monitor pupils and facilities for the purpose of increased student and staff safety with integration of emergency services. So the measurable outcomes for goal number 1 are our suspension rate and our expulsion rate. So the suspension rate, the goal was to have a suspension rate of 7.7%, and suspension rate is calculated by the number of pupils suspended divided by the total number of pupils. It's not the number of suspensions, so if a kid gets suspended 10 times, that counts as 1 kid, not 10 suspensions. So the actual suspension rate is 9.2%, so 9% of the student body of the district was suspended 1 or more times last year. The expulsion rate, the goal was 2%, and the actual expulsion rate was 0.7%, so 7 out of 1,000 students were expelled. The actions for goal number 1 are to have campus safety officers at every school site, to have student support teams at every site, to have therapist and psychologist services. I believe the district has 2 therapists and 3 psychologists. To have video monitoring systems at every school site. I believe Tropico is the only one that doesn't have that. And instituting an anti-bullying campaign, which is called a PSST World. So the main issue here, obviously, is the suspension rate. So for next year, the district will be implementing a Capturing Kids, a program called Capturing Kids' Hearts, which is a program designed to improve the school climate and to work with teachers, administrators, staff in developing positive relationships with students, classroom management techniques, and by doing that, the program there has a strong body of research indicating that by developing those relationships, that will help to improve the suspension rate. Goal number 2, increase and improve student scores on all benchmark and state tests, as well as increased percentage of graduates' scores on college entrance exams, along with graduation and promotion rates and decrease in retention rates. So the main measures for goal number 2, we're looking at student achievement. The main measure of student achievement is the scores on the state test, the CASP assessment for grades 3 through 8 and 11. So we have received our preliminary results from the CASP assessments of 2018. For ELA, our score went up by 2 scales. It's 2 scale score points. So basically, we just took every grade level has an average scale score. You take all the kids' scores and average them up. So we average up the scale scores for grades 3 through 8 and 11. And this year's score improved by 2 scale score points over last year ELA. In math, this year's scale score declined by 2.4 points over last year. So basically, it went up 2 points in ELA, went down a little more than 2 points in math, so we're flat. No growth from last year to this year. In spring of 2018, another measure is high school students taking college classes. In spring 2018, 21% of Roseman High School students took at least 1 college class. So actions for the student achievement goal included having college counselors, college readiness classes, intervention programs for at-risk students, SST coordinators, reading intervention program, CTE program, behavioral and academic counselors, an after-school program, para-educators, professional development, and the AVID program. Goal number 3, increase parent involvement and input in the district and student learning. Parent and student participation to enhance actions of the district that will improve students' social and emotional skills. The actions for this goal that, and I didn't include how we measured them, but actions and measures for this goal included parent meetings that were held, for instance, LCAP meetings, the district newsletter that's sent out monthly, Blackboard Connect for student absences, teacher messaging, school messaging, the district website as a medium for communication, the Twitter feed, which is updated regularly. We have PTA, school site councils. Those are all ways for families to be involved in decision making and to communicate with families. For goal number 4, to increase the district's support of the community of Roseman through additional programs and services that will improve students' quality of life and decrease absences. So measures for goal 4 include the percentage of chronically absent students was 14.7%. High school graduation rate, 89.5%. And we had 661 students enrolled in after-school programs. Actions for goal number 4 include the pre-K program, the after-school program, free meal program, adult education classes, Antelope Valley College classes, free transfer. What's that?
You're in the way.
Oh, am I in the way? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so the big issue facing the district is this right here. 14.7% of our students were chronically absent last school year. So for 2018-2019, we will be implementing the Achievement Initiative's Attention to Attendance program. For goal number 5, increase and support students' access to technology. In addition, integrate technology into the classroom curriculum and demonstrations of student learning outcomes. So some things that we did for goal number 5 include we have a one-to-one take-home laptop program for students in grades 4 through 12. We have a digital citizenship program where all of our students are trained in digital citizenship. We have technology training for faculty, staff, and students. Goal number 6, improve the classroom and learning environment through professional development and improve course development and curriculum alignment. 100% of our students have access to standards-aligned instructional materials in ELA and math. 100% of our facilities are maintained in good repair. 98% of our teachers are properly assigned. 68% of our teachers were fully credentialed, and we had 20 minimum days for professional learning, community time, professional development. Finally, goal number 7. The district will expand its special education services, programs, and resources. The district will ensure that all students, including unduplicated students and individuals with exceptional needs, are provided a broad course of study according to the guidelines in Ed Code. And that includes the Ascend program, and a measure for goal 7 was our special education students were suspended a total of 94 days, which was a decrease of 36.5% from, say, 2016, 2017. Okay, and then we talked about this. The LCAP process involves getting feedback from the community and engagement from the stakeholders. We gave a number of surveys, including the California Healthy Kids Survey. We gave a survey to the families regarding LCAP. We worked with the county on a continuous improvement process, and a lot of the work that we did for developing next year's LCAP came during the work we did with the county, and then we had, now it's 15 LCAP stakeholder meetings.
As been mentioned, we've been working on the LCAP, and the LCAP is a document, it's a fluid document that's constantly changing. You write it for a 3-year time span, but every year you make updates to that program, to that plan. So what we've done is we started out over here in the corner. You'll see we started out with six goals. Last year we had 7 goals. This year we started out with 6, and we decided, you know what? Maybe we can take some of those goals and pare them down and put them together. So now we have brought them down to 3 goals. So instead of 6, we have 3. So goal number 1 is improving academic achievement, and that's a pretty broad goal. We do have 25 actions that go with that goal. One of our goals as we're putting the LCAP together this year, we said, you know what, some of the language although it was good last year, it was a little cumbersome and a little bit hard to understand. So maybe somebody in my position or a teacher, an administrator, they would understand that language, but we wanted it to be really reader-friendly to parents so that when they look at it, they could say, oh, you know what, I get what they're talking about. So goal number 1 is improving academic achievement for all students. Many of these goals we're already implementing, but they're still added to our plan. So we want to make sure that each year we're always looking for credentialed teachers. In the state of California, we do have an incredible teacher shortage, so sometimes it's hard to find credentialed teachers. Last year we had 60 teachers that were either PIPs, STIPs, or interns. 68% of our teachers had credentials. So, that's not only something that is an issue for us here in Southern Kern, but across the state of California. We are going to continue with our professional learning communities, and building capacity for teachers with professional development opportunities. We did take our 2 professional development days that we had for the last few years. Those were taken out of calendars, but maybe this year we'll have some opportunity where we can send teachers to some of those professional development opportunities off-site. Peer coaching. Now this is something that came about through our continuous improvement process that we went through this spring with the county. Administrative, recruiting qualified teachers, credit intervention programs, that's the Read 180, the System 44, the iRead, credit recovery, those kind of things. Having students participate, along with doing the STAR reading and math benchmarks, also getting them into where they're doing the CASP interim assessments. That way, they're ready for those, and they're prepared. It's not the first time they've seen those assessments when they get to that test at the end of the school year. That also requires some teacher training. Expanding access to demonstrate college and career readiness. We have our CTE programs, our pathways, our ACES program. We have a lot of participation at both of our elementaries as well as our middle school in the after-school program. We in the past haven't put enough money into the LCAP, so we overspent that by about $400,000. So this year we're going to pare it down a bit. Continue the sports, the transportation, equipment, and that at the after-school program at Tropico. We'll have our 2 counselors are letting us count classes, the SMAT. AVID, we will continue with that as well. Our AVID tutors, our AVID professional development. Really, for AVID professional development, they offer pathways throughout the school year where teachers can go and participate. And then the big professional development for AVID, of course, is the Summer Institute, every summer. So we will be sending some staff to that next summer as well. Continuing to offer our dual enrollment, and also along with our dual enrollment is allowing other students other than those that are paying for the college class per se. We have a population of students that are not eligible to take those classes through ABC, and so allowing them to be part of that college class. They would get high school credit versus getting college credit, but that way it opens it up to all students. And that was a suggestion that was given to us as part of the LCAP. Of course, benchmark assessments, developing and implementing a plan for including those special education students and having them in the classroom. Continuing to provide our TK program, implementing our ELD program at each school site, and having that universal access time where they're having that specific ELD time that is required. Classroom parent educators that assist struggling and at-risk students. Our laptop refresh program, and that's really with Dan's department, where every few years they have to replace a certain percentage of computers at a site. I believe he said next year
they would have to replace those at the high school. This is a much, like I said, the plan is 3 years, so next year it's only a marginal amount of computers. The following year it's more, then in the third year it would be something additional. Our internet safety, wireless, the ongoing technology training for staff, some of the learning software that is for staff and students. So that's goal number 1. And then goal number 2, and this comes straight out of our continuous improvement process that we went through with the county. One of the things that we had to do was really get to the root cause of, well, why do we think that on our dashboard our African American students and our special education students were performing significantly lower than the rest of the population. So we had, well, why do we think that? So one of the things that we came up with is that we really needed to work on our school climates. So we came up with build a healthy school climate that supports the social, emotional, and physical needs of all students. So we are going to be implementing Capturing Kids' Hearts. We'll start that this summer. We're going to have all of our administrators trained, and then groups of 10 or 11 teachers at each school site. We'll be part of that. We talked about assistant principals, you know, and really how we can include them in our LCAP. We kind of take them out of the base pay and put them over here. Is, you know, really what they do is we have them address absenteeism. We have them, you know, behavioral support, supporting the school climate, you know, working on that suspension rate. We still have our 3 behavioral therapists and our psychologist intern and a psychologist. Our anti-bullying campaigns, we will of course continue those. So we have our before and after school food services. For attendance, we're going to be doing our attendance, what's it called, Dan? Achievement?
Attention to attendance?
Yes. And so hopefully that, what our hope with that is that we'll focus on K-3 and really get those parents to understand, you know, K-3, hey, we really, really want your kids to come to school. And hopefully by the time they get to that 3rd grade, they'll be in that pattern where, oh, you know what, we're going to school. Every day we're going to school. So that's going to be one of our focuses this year is, you know, K-3 attendance. Our school safety officers, emergency drills, our video surveillance, we do provide transportation. We provide transportation after school at Tropico for the ACES program. We'll be doing surveys in the facilities. So then goal number 3, and this is always a goal that we struggle with, is engaging families and community. Throughout the month of April, we had 15 LCAP meetings, and we had very, very little attendance. We were able to go to each school site, and we met with the school site councils, we met with the ASB, but that was, as far as having parents come to our LCAP meetings, it was difficult to get anyone to come. So this is one that we really want to work on and want to be successful. So we have our online enrollment, our data confirmation system for parents to access. We will be getting a mobile app, so it'll be on their phone, and they'll be able to access grades, attendance. It'll send them text messages, emails. So, you know, some of those students, they might be low income, but they do have phones, so that'll, you know, improve access for them. Our constant contact, which is an email that can just be shot out to everybody's email address. Our adult education classes, GED prep, welding, they had ESL last year, and then our different parent meetings where students can, or parent meetings where they have opportunities to do some decision making. We have our district advisory committee, we have our district English language advisory committee, we have a really tough time getting people to come, so we're going to focus on really trying to get people to come on out. So, does anybody have any additional suggestions that you would like to make of things that maybe we haven't thought of that you think that we really need to add? Yes?
I know it's public comment, but being new to the board, I didn't have a chance to talk with you or everybody else. And so take this as a public comment. Being on the TMS School Site Council board for 2 years, and being on the Roseman High School School Site Council for 1 year, and being on the PTA for Roseman Elementary, I think the biggest problem is that there's a lot of these great ideas, but there's no...
Mr. David,
yes.
can hold on. I need
Oh,
to
sure,
open
sure.
into recess.
Okay.
For open,
Sorry.
okay. Public hearing on the proposed, we did that. Okay, recess, business meeting, open public hearing. Now we can talk about.
Make a motion that we open.
Okay, Gutierrez makes a motion.
A second.
Second by Kirk, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Now we.
then we may continue.
At 8,
Two.
what is it? 52.
So, sorry for jumping the gun there.
That's okay.
I asked for public comment.
So, a lot of these were great ideas that we were just throwing back and forth in the room. But I felt one of the biggest problems that it identified nobody to be responsible, and there was never anyone held accountable. So how do you perform when you have neither of those?
And I think that's been true in the past. We are going to work hard to, and that was one of our reasons for paring it down from 6 goals to 3 goals, because we thought, you know what, if we hand this to somebody and we have 7 goals, it's a lot harder to remember 7 goals than it is to remember 3. So, it is our hope that, we are going to use this as a living, breathing document that it is meant to be. So.
What? I would think that just putting somebody in charge, being responsible, and when I say accountable, they're not going to lose their job over it, but at least they'll know that, or the community will know that somebody's going to push to have that goal accomplished.
Say, hey, this is the expectation, this is, where we have it laid out. How you bring that to your staff, it is entirely up to them. But from there, we're gonna go through those and say, okay, well, and it might be at monthly meetings, maybe it'll be at bi-monthly meetings. Let me rephrase that. We'll have an administrative meeting every month, but maybe we go over it, the LCAP once a month, or maybe we go over it, just bi-monthly. So, we definitely will be keeping track. How are you, implementing this goal? How is it going for you? How can we help you? Because our job at the district office really is to support that, and we definitely intend to do so.
Any more comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make one. Back when we were on the board, we had a lot of participation from parents, a lot more than I see what we're getting today. I want to know what the board is doing, because we emphasized and re-emphasized to get parents involved. So now I have a question for the board. Are you still doing that?
We are attempting it. Okay.
Tempting is
We
not
did,
doing
I
it.
know. We did quite a few things to bring the public on board, and for some reason, the public has not been responsive at all. We held a, what was it called? Technology for parents, how to keep the
Social media.
kids safe from social media and all that kind of stuff. And
2
I-
sites. And 2 sites.
at 2 different sites, both at Tropico and at the high school. At Tropico, we had 11 parents. Out of how many kids we got over there? 800. And at the high school, I went to the students one during the day, and of course, all the students were there, and they were, really interested in some of the stuff that they found out that their phones are actually tracking them when they shouldn't be. And I went that night to see the parent. What? We had less than 20. And I mean, how? It was in the paper. It was
Blackboard.
Blackboard. We sent out robocalls. We did all this stuff. You think parents wouldn't want to know what their kids are doing on their phones? And yet nobody showed up. To me, that was a very important subject that really needs to be addressed, because the social media thing it's a scary thing going on.
And I agree with you on that. However, the only people that you sent it out to were parents. Did you send anything out to the grandparents? No.
We had some grandparents that
Yeah, but did you send it out? I didn't see anything. I'm sure you'll have a lot of other folks who are going to tell you the same thing. You've got Facebook. Why don't you have a presence on Facebook? That's a good place to get, because there's a lot of people on Facebook. But you don't have a presence. My point is that the more you have presence on things out there, the better off it's going to be. I like her idea about the app, but that app's got to be, it's got to be out there. I would have no problem putting an app on just to see what's going on. But you've got to sell it, and I don't see this board selling it. And that's one of my main concerns. You have to sell, sell, sell. It's like any business. It's how you get your business. You have to sell for a while till you get your referrals. We don't get referrals.
Yeah, so Mr. Gutierrez, I'd like to respond to that. I think you're absolutely right. The means and the technology that we're using is far outdated. I know we have an aversion to Facebook, but that's how parents communicate. That's how grandparents keep up to date on their grandchildren. So in some manner, we're going to have to wade into that water and actually put a SKUSD presence online with Facebook, so that way they can see all the great things that we're accomplishing. Nobody's going to check their email. Nobody's going to listen to a robocall. They get 40 of them a day. So I think that's just the tools and the means.
In those robocalls, you don't have a name on it.
Right.
Nobody answers them.
Yeah. And
that's a big issue.
And then as far as marketing, I also have to agree there. We do a really poor job. This is from the outside of it, I'm sorry, not directing at the board. But it seems to me that the district is very anti-parent involvement. I mean, being on the PTA board over at Rosemont Elementary, it was like pulling teeth to allow us to operate. And same thing with all the boosters clubs for the high school sports. You want parents involved, and let them be involved in the good things, not just the bad things of having to come and find out how they can keep better handles on their kids because they're going crazy. Or just, not crazy, I apologize, but just they're being children. And so we have to maybe take a better look at that on how we can reach out to them. And communicating and marketing to them is one effective way. But even with all of that noise that's hitting them every single day, I've always found it the most effective is to find the hubs, the communication hubs, and target your message at them. If we don't take the time to find who those communication hubs are, then we'll never reach the rest of the community. Those communication hubs, you put the word out to them, all of a sudden it goes out to 10 of their friends. And now instead of 11 people arriving, maybe you have 100. So I appreciate the information.
And I agree, because it's the only way you're going to, I mean, I started working with Princess 6 months ago, okay? I can't believe how much I get inundated from Princess personally. I just get emails after emails after emails. Sometimes I go, but I have to look at them because it's part of the job. But they do that to everybody else. I get millions of phone calls. Hey, I got this promo, what can I do? So they're working. We just got to figure out how to get that communication out there. It's not there. I thought we did a better job when we were on the school board back 2001, 2005. We had a lot of parent involvement, but it's gone downhill. We had a lot of grandparent involvement, but it's gone downhill. Why?
So Leanne, it looks like we have somebody who's going to help you work on goal number 3 there.
Right.
Okay, the other thing you have to remember is, most people show up when they want to. Okay, why did we have so many people here tonight? They were supporting people. Not because they wanted to come to the board, because as soon as they got what they wanted or what they knew was happening, they left.
But
no? Okay.
Okay, go ahead, but I've got a comment.
I know you do, but let me finish, okay? When I first came on the board, everybody was here because they had negative things to say. They had things that, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, why aren't you doing this, how come, blah, 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 blah. When things were going smooth, sometimes we had 6 people if we were lucky.
True.
So it doesn't, to me, it truly doesn't make a whole lot of difference how much you put out there. If it pertains to them or they're interested, they're going to show up.
I agree with you, but you still gotta put it out there.
We
And
do.
Where? I don't see it.
Well, then you need to go on to the district website because it's
You know,
on
you
there
see,
too.
you're depending on one area. You got
Well,
to go out more.
But at least it's one.
But it's one, but
But
most of
it's
the
one
people,
that everybody has access to.
no, they don't.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What
How many-
do you have
Why
access
don't you
to?
ask how many people have access to it? There's a lot of folks out there that don't know or won't even use the computer. That's not access.
True. But the other part is, again, you have to want to come. You have to want to be involved. And they're not.
Well, and I agree, because it happened with us when we were there. But we still made sure that we had enough information going out. But things were different back there. Today, you've got more ways of getting information out.
Right.
Use them.
Right. But the other thing is, like you said about the robocalls. I look at my phone, I'm going, oh, the credit card company's calling me again to say that I can, reduce my rate. Oh, if I push 9, they won't call me again. 2 days later, I get the same call from the same number.
I agree.
So after a while, you just look at it and you go, I'm done.
But it's a number.
Yeah.
You're not, okay, but it doesn't say Southern Kern, or it doesn't say so-and-so.
Right.
The ones that say, those are the ones I answer.
Okay,
That's my
and I
point.
agree, I agree.
And you
And
can do that.
I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that. I'm just saying, truthfully, if you want to be here, you're going to be here.
All right, well, definitely
You know, so,
are gonna
no,
go
you know what I
to
mean,
number 3.
you know.
Yeah, let's
I
go
agree
on
with
to
you.
goal number 3 now.
Is there anybody else that would like to?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Boyd?
Yeah, I just wanted to tag in on this a little bit, Sandy. As a many-year board member, Sandy is right. You can put the information on your website, you can put the information on your email bucket list that goes out to everybody and their brother. The people that want to read the information are going to read it. The biggest thing that you have going for you as a board is that man sitting right there, the newspaper. He's reporting this, he's putting it in his newspaper. People that want to read about it are going to read about it. But as a former board member and current board member, if the room is empty, things are going good. If the room is full, people are not happy. Because people normally show up to these meetings when things aren't going right in their lives and they want to voice their displeasure. So, full house, hot seat for you all. Empty house, things are going good. But you as a board cannot lose focus on what you have to do as a board and continue pressing forward with making the right decisions and doing the right job.
Thank you.
Jim, did you want to?
There was a hand over there if you wanted to grab it.
Oh, yes, sir.
I've been to 2 meetings. One, my daughter received an award for ASVAB, and the second one is to support David. The reason why people don't show because they think their opinion will not change the decision, because that's what I feel like. I mean, my 2 kids, they're straight A students. They never missed a day of school. They're athletic. They're also academics. And what I noticed, I'm more athletic. The programs that he said, what, 2000? Because I went back and checked, because my daughter is a pretty good basketball player, and my son is too. There was no support for the athletics for Rosemont, but that's something different. Okay, what we're talking about, but what she puts it out there because my wife, she gets those calls. She's into it. She checks the kids' grades when they drop. She gets on them. But basically, that's the 2 times I've ever been here. You know what I mean? That one time, my daughter received a reward, and the second time is to support Dave.
Well, hopefully you will change that.
Oh, yes, I like this. This is good. You know what I mean? Sound weird, but I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But that's it. But hopefully we can change the athletic program here and put Rosemont on the map. So besides, academics, we get scholarships for athletics. Because when I moved in this area, I didn't know this area existed. When I came from the San Fernando Valley.
Right.
Yeah. So just something to put that out there. Yeah.
I have two things that were on your list there, Mrs. Hargus.
Oh, and
the attention to attendance, you said you're focusing K-3. What's that program, and what are you expecting the teachers to do involved in that program?
The teachers won't really have to do a lot with that. What it is going to be is, it's actually going to be K-3, it's going to focus, K-3 is going to focus on chronic absentee. So what they do is they send a lot of information, they do a lot of phone calls. They're, really pumping up families for attendance.
Who's they?
The company.
This is a company
It's a company that does it. And that's what they do.
So we have a contract with a company to do this for
We
us?
have not signed contracts right now. That's our plan.
And then on goal 1, we talked about classroom paraeducators. We've had a lot of talk about that with the paraeducators at elementaries, if there's reductions going on there. How many elementary paraeducators did we have this past year, and how many is the district funding for next year?
We had 12 at each site, K-5. Preschool and TK has their own paraeducators. So what we have to do is any money that we're going to use for our supplemental concentration funds has to go into our LCAP plan. So we are still planning on having paraeducators within the classroom. So there'll be 6 at West Park, K-5, and there'll be 6 at Roosevelt Elementary.
So we're going from 24 to 12.
Yes, plus the ones that they have in their TK classrooms. Preschool,
Right, but
we
K-5.
do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we pay into regular session at 9:09. 9:09. Motion?
Motion, I'll second it.
Second by Reed. Harris, all in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing on proposed district budget. Mr. Eric, 2018-19.
So, the law has changed since 2013. Budget used to be done not in conjunction with an LCAP, but now a budget must be done in conjunction with an LCAP to carry out the goals and the actions in the LCAP. So, our 2018-19 budget for next year. So, just to preface this is based on the May revision of the governor. What the state of California, the budget that they're signing is significantly different based on from the May revision. So these numbers are old already. Hopefully next time around next week, I have the tools to use the new numbers. But at this point, I don't have any reliable tools to use the new numbers. So budget status for next year is negative status. There's 3 different statuses: positive, qualified, negative. Negative status, we won't be able to meet our financial obligations. Our problem is this year, we won't be able to meet our current financial obligations for this year. Reserve status, for a district of our size, Ed Code says 3% reserves. Our current projected ending balance is negative $1.5 million. Projected fund balance for next year is negative $280,000. So we're cutting that gap, but it's not enough. So operating surplus of 18-19. So this means the difference between what we're spending and what we're receiving. We're going to have a positive surplus of $1.2 million. That's going to get eaten away immediately. We have lease payments on the Roseman Elementary School. We have 8 payments remaining starting in July at $180,000 each payment, totaling $1.4 million. Three ways of funding that, or four actually. Certificates of participation, that's sort of a bond, it'll be due in 3 years. Hardship grant, we have an application with the state for $11 million for this project. Depending on who is elected governor and when they sell bonds to fund this program, it could be anywhere from this coming November to March that we'll see this money. And the only option at this point is to fund these lease payments through general fund. So, just to get this out there.
If we get funded in, say, March, that would that money would go back into the general fund?
Yeah, right. Payments will come out of the building fund. It'll be a contribution from the general fund to the building fund, a temporary loan. Okay. So when the money comes back from the state or however we fund it, it'll be repaid.
I knew that, but I wanted everybody else to hear that.
It's one of those things where you never know when the state is going to fund it. So you can't rely on it in terms of next year. Right. Yeah. The money, the bills have to be paid, so it must come out of general fund.
We started the project when we were promised the money. And then after we broke ground, governor said, oh yeah, by the way, you don't get that money now. You'll get it later.
So the proposition was approved by the voters, but the part where it's got stuck is the governor won't issue the bonds. So the proposition isn't funded if he won't issue the bonds. The hope is with the next governor being elected, he will issue the bonds to fund the proposition.
Eric,
fund all of our construction.
This is Prop 51?
I believe it was.
Okay. So
the school building fund about $8 billion.
Even with the new administration coming in, they don't take office till next year. Once they're in office, then they have to say, yes, we're willing to raise the funds. But the process is, they don't go out and raise funds until all the applications have been submitted. Are they going to take the old applications that you already submitted, or do we have to renew, create a new application for it?
No, we don't. So there's two different programs. There's one new building program, and there's one hardship program.
Right.
Hardship modernization. That's what we applied for.
Okay.
That's not a new application. Basically, the state wants you to remove portable buildings and put permanent classrooms. So that's what we applied for.
Okay.
We removed, I believe, 16 classrooms and replaced it with permanent structures, so around $11 million.
Okay, so bond raise plus, so let's just say the application is already approved. You have the bond raise, which is going to take 3 to 6 months. After the bond raise 3 to 6 months, then you have the distribution of funds, which is going to take another 1 to 3 months. So we're looking at 9 months past January that you'll get funding. If they say yes.
So OPSC is the state entity that does the funding, and they have 2 funding cycles. One of them the next one would be this coming March. So then March
of 19.
Yeah. So that's when our target is of getting. The other funding cycle is around May. So we didn't have our application in time for that funding cycle. The project wasn't along far enough to get our application in here. So March of next year is when they say you will be funded and expect your money. That's, if a new governor takes office, they could sell bonds within a month. It's not. It doesn't take a long time, and it's not a lot of bonds. It's $8 billion of bonds. The state issues tens of billions of dollars every year.
Right.
But that I'm just going off of what our fiscal agent has been letting us know. And they work with OPSC directly, and we submit our forms to OPSC. They follow up with OPSC. But March is the target that we're aiming to get. So in light of that, we're going to need to target more expense reductions. There's ample places to get reductions without affecting the classroom. And we're going to be working closely with RTA, CTA, also our administrators to identify expenses that we can reduce without affecting our core programs. So this is just a look at the past 5 fiscal years. You see the trend is rising costs all across the board. Next year we have a little reduction based on the RIFs that we've done. Classified has a significant reduction next year. Our pension cost keeps going up because of rates that CalPERS and CalSTRS have come up with. Have about 16% for CalPERS and about 18% for CalSTRS. Health and welfare, significantly less because we're recovering less people in terms of health and welfare benefits, and the cost is flat next year. And retiree benefits are creeping up as well. I expect that to go up because we've had a significant amount of retirees this year. So this is that graph in numbers, and you can see the percentage change year over year. So next year we're looking at less than 1% change in terms of certificated salaries. This year we experienced almost a 10% increase. 16-17 was 13% over the previous year, and 14-15 was 15%. And this coincides with the funding that we got with LCFF. As we get more LCFF becomes better funded, the money goes directly into salaries and benefits. Classified salaries, you see the big spike here is in 16-17, it went up about 20%. This year we were able to reduce it by 3%, and next year with the RIFs we're reducing that by 5%. Keep in mind, 18-19 for both bargaining units, there's a 3.5% salary increase that was negotiated. Pension costs, so these are statutory costs that we have no control over. As you can see, the cost, as we're covering more people, as more of our employees are eligible for pensions, the cost keeps going up. So next year we're expecting an 11% increase in pension costs, which is half of what we experienced this year. So it's progress. Health and welfare costs, you see in 18-19 we've reduced the cost by 17%, and that's strictly due to covering less people. Retiree benefits, we're almost at double-digit growth in terms of cost. I fully expect this to increase next year over the $812,000 we have budgeted. And I can't give you a reliable number on this because when someone retires, they have to choose what plan they want to participate in. So we only know what the cost is when they choose. So enrollment has definitely gone up. We're projecting in 18-19 3,723 students. This year we have enrollment of 3,606 students. It's 200 students over the previous year. So we're experiencing serious growth in our district. We're projecting 3% growth next fiscal year. We saw 8% growth this year, 6% last year, 6% the following year. There is countless projects on the pipeline in terms of commercial real estate, like apartments, mobile home parks, single-family homes. There's more than I can count. So we're going to keep growing. It's just inevitable. Cost of living is pushing more and more people to come and live here.
Question. In those figures, is that daily attendance or actual enrollment?
Enrollment. I'll get to attendance.
Okay, I was going to say, because you've got to figure in, we're only at like 92%. I would figure at 90 to be on the safe side.
Well, the state average 88, 95%. We're at 92, which is abysmal.
I know, but it's kind of characteristic of what we have in growth.
Right. It's complicated.
I know.
On your projected student growth, what are you basing those numbers on? And you mentioned housing projects that you said are going to be built, but are you looking at the unconditional will serve letters issued by RCSD?
No.
Because that is the big determining factor right here. Water in this valley is going to be very scarce because every agency here has started their ramp down because of the adjudication process. So to project a large increase of students, it may not happen, for the simple fact is that if RCSD does not issue an unconditional will serve letter for water, then they can't build that project. And if they can't build that project, those students are not going to materialize.
We're basing this, so we have centralized enrollment and we have enrollment online. Our projections are strictly what we are seeing people come through the door. We're not looking at potential in terms of building out projects out here. This is really conservative as well. We actually underestimated our enrollment for this year. This is strictly people coming through the door right here and enrolling in our schools. And we're seeing it, people are living to an apartment, people are desperate to live somewhere, and Roseman is attracting a lot of people because of the cost of living. And even the cost of living here is rising. It's becoming unaffordable for some people. But this is strictly people coming through our door that we're seeing we're trying to. So ADA is what we're funded on. This year's ADA, our projected for 17-18 is 3,387. So if you look at the enrollment, it's 3,606. So almost 300 less students in terms of ADA. And ADA is how many times a student comes to school. It's a formula that the state puts out software that we use to calculate ADA. And we're paid based on every ADA. So we don't get funded based on enrollment, we get paid on this number here. We're projecting an increase in ADA next year to 3,539 students. So here's the change in terms of percentages for ADA. And believe it or not, that after the decimal point makes a difference. We still get funded on that. So this year we saw a 7% increase in ADA over our 16 and 17. We're anticipating 4.5% increase in ADA next year.
Is that you being conservative, or are you anticipating the focus on the attendance through our goal number?
Yeah, that's assuming the trend stays the same.
Okay.
That project that we're looking at, it's been used. We did a survey throughout the state agencies, and we got really positive feedback. A lot of agencies have really sworn by it. It's really targeted to those students who are chronically absent, which make all the difference in the world in our ADA.
So that's how you measure ROI on it?
Yeah.
How much you pay for it,
right? And
the difference in ADA.
Yeah. So one ADA is roughly $10,000 to $12,000. So if you could raise it by 3, you're looking at almost $40,000 in revenue. But yeah, it is very conservative. I'm not assuming that's going to work. We're better off assuming our trend stays the same. So here are the projected revenues, 17-18, and this is combined unrestricted and restricted, meaning money that we do whatever we want with and money that we are restricted to use for specific purposes, like special ed funding. So our current year is at $39 million. We have anticipated this to go higher, but the fact of the matter is that ADA was much less than we thought. So revenue was not what we had projected. Next year, we're anticipating a 6.4% increase. So this dollar amount really is not an increase in ADA per se. It's the state fully funding LCFF. It's 100% funding of LCFF, meaning in previous years, we were entitled to 100%, but the state said you'd only get 80%, and you'd only get 90% what you were entitled to. Next year, we have full funding, and on top of that, they raised the cost of living adjustment for LCFF. So that's the only way really right now LCFF goes up or down. cost of living adjustment. They adjusted cost of living 3.7%, which was almost a percentage point above what we had anticipated. So we have put a plan of action to the county, and we're developing another one as well to address our costs and also address revenues where we can. These are some of the actions that we've already taken. Since third interim, which was the end of April, and now, there have been significant changes that won't be reflected in the budget, but you'll see those changes reflected in the unaudited actuals. Thought I saw your hand. So looking beyond full implementation of LCFF funding formula, so if there's ever a time for us to be in a situation that is beneficial, it would be this time. Fully funding LCFF means a lot for us. Rather than taking 3 to 5 years to recover, it'll only take us a year's time to recover and get back on our feet. No increase in health and welfare costs. That's significant. That's our third largest cost in terms of expenses. Cost of living adjustment by 3.7%, which was significantly higher than anticipated. And this 3.7% is a permanent increase to LCFF. So the base funding for LCFF will go up 3.7% in 18-19 and every preceding year. So for us, that means at least $1.5 million more next year than we anticipated. There's no LCFF calculator that I could plug these numbers into right now. FICMAP releases that. We're hoping that comes out soon, that reflects the actual state budget. If it doesn't come out, we have 45 days to readjust, to resubmit our budget with the new numbers after we have it approved. So we're going to present the budget next Wednesday for adoption. Hopefully the new calculator is out and I can revise the numbers. If it's not out, then I can't revise the numbers based on the new state budget. What we can do is revise it within 45 days of adopting the budget. Any questions?
I'll recess the business, the public meeting at 9:29. Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, ask any questions. There's nothing to hide. I know there's rumors going around. You can come into our office and ask any questions you like. Our problem has been overspending. Money's not hidden anywhere. Nothing's socked away. Just feel free to come to our office and ask questions if you have questions. I'd rather get an answer from me than through a third party.
Eric, a few things. One of the slides talks about increase in salaries, increase in cost towards employees, both certificated and classified. Could you clarify, while there have been increases in overall salaries, like you mentioned 3.5% for next year, is it more because of that or more because just we've hired more people?
Both.
We've had a tremendous increase in the number of people hired, where
So
we've got classes with very low total of students in those classes, thereby being very inefficient. It's not just because we've been doling out raise after raise after raise, which were negotiated. It's because, we've increased our staff by 25–30% over the last 3 years, both certificated and classified.
Without a doubt, headcount has gone up.
So the increase in staff has actually outgrown the increase in student population.
Yeah, we didn't grow our staff in line with a growth in terms of enrollment.
And that's why we have classes with 15 or 18 or 20 students in those classes when the class size limits are closer to 20
1 second,
or
we
30.
didn't open for public hearing.
Oh, I thought
No,
I heard
we just
that.
said, but we didn't do our.
We didn't motion.
No, okay.
Sanchez made the motion, I'll second it, which is huge. On average, they should maintain around 85%. We normally would run about 86% around our district.
Caused by what?
Overhiring.
Overstaffed.
I used to
Very
spend
simple.
hours with district administration going over how we were going to staff the schools. And every time I've asked, not just this past administration, but previous administrations to continue to do that, no, we'll handle it. We'll handle it, we got it, no problem.
Well,
Then I look at class sizes of 12 and 50, which is great for the teachers,
Right.
not complaining, but it's not efficient.
It's not efficient.
So when we put it up there on the board to say that the cause of the budget problems is salaries, that's
It's not salary.
being misinterpreted.
Exactly.
That's what's posted up there.
That's why I'm speaking.
Thank you.
Looking over the budget that we have right now, that we're going to discuss about approving next week. We have to approve next week, right?
Yes.
We're at 87.4% between salary and benefits for all our employees, which is way better than where we were. I personally would like to see that thing come down another 2% to get us back into line where we need to be.
But I've been involved with budgets that have been at 92%, and we haven't been in a budgetary problem.
Well,
I agree with you, you know.
anytime I see anything above 87, you start seeing a lot of cuts to what you guys need in the classroom. You see a lot of transportation costs that get cut. There's a lot of stuff that I think is instructional material that needs to be in the classroom that gets cut. So I'm just, yes, I understand, yes, you can go higher. At what cost?
Right. There's a happy medium, and I don't disagree with you that something below 90% is certainly gives the district a lot more flexibility in how it spends its money.
Right. So, again, being in business, you gotta make money to be able to stay there. And I always look at my numbers constantly. I mean, in my business, I'm looking at my numbers weekly to make sure that, you know, we don't overspend.
Yeah, and the recommendations that RTA has provided says, you know, let's look at where all of those monies are going within that 92% or 87%. How is that being
Numbers
distributed?
you brought forth to us, I love them, they're great. We just gotta implement them.
Yeah, and we're working on it. Special ed just identified 2 classrooms that we could consolidate in other classrooms and eliminate 2 special ed classrooms next fiscal year. So it's a process that's been ignored, and we need to address it.
That's, like I said, I looked through the numbers and get my calculator out.
Just out of curiosity, what's your target student to teacher?
It's the contractual class size limits depending on the grade level.
So
It's in your packet.
It's in my packet? I'm just saying, no. So besides the contractual aspect of this, as a teacher,
It's what's in the
The
contract.
contract.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
want what's in the contract.
we have in the contract what we feel is optimum. Grades K-3, it's
You can
24
ask
students in the
all day long,
classroom.
what would you like to have in
Grades
your
4
classroom?
through 6 is 28, from grades 7 through 12 it's 30. Special ed, RSP, speech pathologists, SDC, they all have their own unique class sizes. PE have their own unique class sizes based on, you know, their situation. Some of it's driven by ed code, and some of it's driven by contract. The other questions I had, Eric, with what you had up there, what is the interest rate on the COP currently? You said the COP is generally 3 years.
Yeah, interest is deferred for the first few years. No interest payments in the first few years. But generally, COP, we would do a private placement, meaning we don't go to the market. There's a buyer. The issuance is about $3 million, which is too small to go to the market. Get be a private placement, which is usually a bank that would buy it. And the interest is anywhere, whatever the market rate is at that point.
And then I thought I heard in a previous meeting, I think it was Mrs. Sanchez who asked about, will the district be able to make payroll? And I think the response was the county has guaranteed funding for the district to be able to meet its obligations. What is the relationship there? What is the county saying that they're going to do to support the district while we get through this?
Yeah, the county is working with us hand in hand. We are relying on them for backstop.
And that's different than a COP. They support us financially. Is it interest-free?
Interest-free
How does that
loan.
work?
Yeah, it's short-term loan. It would be like a money market loan. We borrow less than a year in the county. But they're not concerned about that. Their concern is to help us get back into positive territory.
Exactly.
So they've been nothing but helpful, trying to get us back on it.
Sounds good. Thank you. That was all I had.
Yeah, they won't make us ruin to pay back their loan.
Do you have a projected time frame to pay them back, and is that in the current budget to be estimated that?
That would be based on cash flow next year. We're looking at probably either September of next year or February of next year to pay back the loan. And yeah, the negative amount that you saw, 1.5 million, that the funds that we borrowed is part of that. So it's strictly based on cash flow. So if we have the cash available to pay our bills and we pay the loan, then we would sign on the date. But yeah, they're very considerate. They're not going to jeopardize our operations.
Do you have any more comments? We reconvene into regular session at 9.
Wait. Go ahead. Kirk, motions to reconvene. I'll second.
Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we reconvene.
Reconvene to regular session at 9:42. Approve resolution 17-18-25 educational protection account. Section 36E, expenditure report.
So the EPA account, education protection account, Prop 30 that was passed a few years ago. Next year's and last year, there's a new proposition that replaces this one the following year. But basically, EPA, we get a certain dollar amount based on income taxes on the highest income earners in the state. So it fluctuates in terms of ADA. It's about $4.2 million for us, and we are required to let the public know what we intend to spend the funds on. For us, EPA, what we've always spent it on and what we plan on spending it on is certificate salaries.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion we accept.
Terrence? Second by?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion that we accept the personnel is written.
Second by?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, the board is considering a proposed amendment to the employment contract for the associate superintendent, which would appoint her to act in the capacity of the interim superintendent through June 30th, 2019, or until further notice. And that, during that time, her base annual salary will be increased to $150,185. This is the ratification to amend an employment contract for interim superintendent. So we need to make a motion.
Motion that we accept the
Terrence,
proposed contract.
I'll second.
second by Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Gutierrez. Second by
I'll second.
Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.